Okay, you glorious singers, you know what time it is. It's pedagogy time. It's technique time. I got my dark roast. I got my larynxes. What else could a man want on a Sunday morning except to be with all of you to answer your questions about the voice? So we're going deep. We're going hard. And we're really going to answer your questions. So lay them on me. I'm ready to hear them. Let's see what we got. Let's go to the big board. We're starting with Atina. Oh, this is from the Brendan chat. Okay, this is a follow-up from the Brendan chat. Thank you for joining Brendan in the chats. Asking about pharyngeal singing. Could we talk about what that means and are there exercises? I want to be real specific here on this term, pharyngeal singing, because this means so many different things to so many people. But I want you to think about that. Pharyngeal, what is that? That's the pharynx, okay? All singing takes place in the pharynx. You can't control whether or not it does. So basically every kind of singing is pharyngeal. This is your primary resonator right here, the pharynx. And so you can't not use the pharynx. The question becomes, how big of a pharynx do you want to sing with? That's really all it comes down to, is how big of a pharynx, okay? So there's two main ways that we can control the pharynx, Atina. Number one, the larynx, and number two, the soft palate, okay? So if I'm singing just a scale or arpeggio, and I do mum, 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 that's just sort of a natural pharynx size. If I want to shrink my pharynx size, how do I do it? I have to raise my larynx. So that's a mum, 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 mum. Now I get a different sound, right? I have a smaller pharynx. Mum, 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 mum. My larynx is up. Lower my larynx a little bit. Mum, 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 mum. I get that sound. What if I lower my larynx quite a lot? Mum, 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 mum. I get a different sound entirely. So biggest way to control the pharynx is what position your larynx is in. Now next is the soft palate. If we drop the soft palate, we're going to get our nasal resonance. So that's a that sort of thing. But take away those M's and I could have ah. That's with my soft palate up. Ah, so now I have this space. I could drop it down. Now I'm getting my nasal. Or in between. Right? So those are my main ways to adjust my pharynx, is what position my larynx is in and what position my soft palate is in. All right? So that's how I'm going to explain pharyngeal singing to you, because that's the pharynx and that's what we can control in the pharynx. Atina, if you mean something different by pharyngeal singing, write us a different question and I'll answer it for you. But we're going to the big board and we have, a new member. This is Lisa or Lisa, not sure, Lise Moberg. I have noticed that I can develop a vibrato sometimes when I sing quietly in head voice, but I can't manage to sing with vibrato in a powerful head voice, chest voice, or mix. Very nice question, Lise. Vibrato is essentially a pitch movement. I think you probably know that. Okay, that's its nature. Is if I have I can move my pitch around, kind of a little shimmer of the pitch. So why is it that one can do it quietly or in a light head voice, but not in a bigger voice or a chest voice? The reason why is because we have actually a CT dominant and TA dominant vibrato. And sometimes people are good at one or good at the other, but not good at both. Okay, there's some singers that, for example, can do vibrato in their chest voice, but not their head voice, or they could do vibrato in their head voice, but not their chest voice. I'm glad, Lise, that you can do one of them, because what we will want to do is take the skills from the one and start to influence the other. But in the same way that this mechanism is different from this mechanism is actually different from this mechanism right there. So we're going to have to take the qualities that you have and move them over into the other gear. That's the why. How? I would recommend actually at least doing vibrato exercises that move far distances, like for example, so that chesty note learns to do what the heady note did. And you can also do crescendo exercises. If the soft vibrato is working, we can do a little bit of a crescendo decrescendo to see if you can keep that vibrato as the breath increases and as the volume increases. All right, that's a wonderful question. Many singers have vibrato in only one part of the voice. Great, next we're going on to Jake. And Jake says, what's your opinion on bridging early versus bridging late? In other words, how low do you start mixing versus how late do you start mixing? Okay, that's awesome, Jake. Very smart question. The answer is that you need to be able to do both, okay? The healthier version is, of course, to bridge early, okay? The earlier we allow the next register to come in, the healthier we're treating the instrument, okay? So if we're moving from chest to mix, the earlier the mix starts happening, the better. Moving mix to falsetto, the earlier falsetto starts happening, the better. And moving from falsetto to flageolet, the earlier flageolet starts to happen, the better. The thing about that though, Jake, is even though that's the best technique and the healthiest thing, it's not the most athletic and maybe not the most awesome. So you're going to have to do two versions. I would have you start with the early bridging, just to make sure you're getting the length to the chords and the slack that we need. After you have that, and you've installed that, then you can start to bridge late, which would be a more belty, athletic kind of quality. If you do that stuff, make sure you can always get back to the first one though, because that's how people start to get way off track, is that they just do the athletic one and that's it, okay? You need to always be able to bridge early. Okay, excellent. All right. Now we're moving on to Jan, or Jan. And Jan says, I asked a question about flageolet in the live chat and OMG, had such an improvement just by doing it with a more closed embouchure like you said. This is awesome. What are some of the exercises you suggest in order to develop my flageolet and get it more powerful to sing with an open embouchure like Dimash? Well, yeah, it's pretty simple in a way, because you're going to start with that nice closed embouchure, okay, which would be perhaps a W sound. That's the most closed we could do. And we have a all right, and that's facilitating that flageolet, that's facilitating that length and that stretch and that small contact. Then we start to graduate that sound. That's W. What if we graduate it to ooh? And once I've done the ooh, maybe I can graduate from ooh to O. And once I've graduated from O, maybe I can start to move from O to Ah. get more of that powerful falsetto, which, just so y'all know, when we open the embouchure up, it increases the power of the voice from a resonance standpoint. Now, that doesn't mean just go opening everything. That's actually bad technique to do that. But it does increase the power. So once you know you've got everything working on the inside just how you want, with a nice relaxed jaw, nice relaxed lips, everything's rocking in here, then as a choice, we can do this kind of stuff, opening it up, and that sort of brings the resonance power to life. Belters do that, high sopranos do that, and Dimash, of course, does that. So I'm glad, John, I'm glad that the closed embouchure, woo, was what made your flageolet work. That's what makes most people's flageolet work, actually, is we get a woo, we get a and we don't do a ha. But then once you got the woo, then you can do the woo. Right. Colin Joseph, our friend Colin. What's up, Justin? Not much, Colin. Long time no see. Really? Oh. In one of the videos you talked about jaw thrust. Yes, I did talk about jaw thrust. Can you show me how does the voice sound different with and without the jaw thrust? Okay, well, great, Colin. It's not that it sounds different necessarily. It's that it is dealing with a form of tension that we don't want. But it's not like a high larynx, I can always hear that. It's not like a nasal resonance, I can always hear that. It's not like a twang sound, I can always hear that. It's not like a spread sound, you can always hear that. Jaw thrust is its own thing, because what jaw thrust is just one of these. Okay. And really, it's not that big of a change. I can, it's not dramatic, right? So I don't think we're really listening for a lot of super huge alterations to the sound. Here's the thing, Colin. People do jaw thrust to accommodate tongue clenching, tongue retraction, larynx hiking, and all kinds of extrinsics. They do it to sort of make room for the tension. There's nothing wrong actually with thrusting your jaw. In truth, it doesn't really do anything to the larynx. It doesn't have any muscle attachments. So you can do this all you want. But the thing is, singers do that because there's some other tension going on. So I suppose you're just listening for tension of many varieties and you're watching. Is the singer's jaw thrusting forward? Luckily, it's one of the easiest ones to fix in all the books. You just do one of these with your hand and make sure you can sing without the thrust. You can also look in the mirror and say, what do I see? Do I see a relaxed jaw, or do I see a jaw going forward? And it's just, since it's on the outside, it's very easy to fix. The voice is so many things going on the inside. It's like, what is that? Jaw thrust, super easy to fix, all right? But I wouldn't listen for it, I'd watch for it. Excellent job, Colin. Now, Yetta, our friend with the best last name known to mankind. Is it necessary to develop chest resonance when singing classical songs? Since I know that females are using more head voice. Moreover, how do I develop chest resonance when I sing in head voice? Okay, let's unpack this, Yetta. Great question. Chest resonance, let's just get that one first. That's not really a thing, okay? We don't have chest resonance. Sorry to break it to you. There's chest voice, which is not my favorite term, but it's what we call it. Chest voice is TA dominance, okay? Where the vocal cords are making their thick contact, okay? So thick contact, medium contact, very little contact, okay? Classical females sing in very little contact. CT dominance, head voice, mode 2, those are the things that classical females sing with, okay? Then the question becomes, Yetta, do you mean to add, does a classical female want to add chest voice or TA dominance to their voice? I would say surprisingly yes. Okay, I've worked with lots of classical females, and they're always amazed because they've been told I shouldn't belt. It's bad for my voice to belt. It's bad for me to be in chest voice. I should just, kind of ignore that. I can get better. I'm better off without having it. And that's not really true. Okay, you don't have to drag it up really high, but it's great when you've been, all of those voices we don't just have nowhere to go at the bottom of the voice. You have to find some of that at the bottom. So I'd say yes, Yetta, yes, you should do some chest voice, okay? Belters can take that chest, or at least some sort of mix, up at least to E flat 5. Yeah, E flat 5, and some crazy ones can do up to B flat 5. Insane stuff. I don't need you to do that, Yetta, but I do need you to get it to, let's go G4. If you can, as a classical female, if you can give me a G4 in chest voice, then we got something. At least at the base of your voice, you got something. And you're not finding a flimsy bottom to your head voice. So yes, indeed, you classical females, please develop chest voice. You don't have to belt it out, belter style, but give voice a treat to have a foundation at the base. Okay, awesome. Now, our pal Blaze. Blaze Young, hey. Blaze has been with us, I think, since the beginning, maybe. So we appreciate having you each time. My question is, when I do vocal exercises to improve my nasal resonance, whoops, back there for me. No problem. Like making the NG sound, I end up getting a nasal sound in my singing. Why is this happening? Well, it sounds like you're doing it right, Blaze, but maybe you're just doing it too much. The idea is that if we're practicing nasal resonance, we do want to have some of the nasal in the sound, okay? So if I'm doing the NG that you talked about, and I have, that's of course 100% nasal. All the nasal consonants, 100% nasal. Now, if I put a vowel there and I have, the idea is that the ah vowel will have a little bit of nasal as its final product. No nasal would be ah, fine, nothing wrong with it. But if I drop a little teeny bit, the soft palate, we have ah, moving to ah, a little bit of ah, I have a little nasal in the sound. This is extremely desirable in most styles of music. It gives us protection. It gives us head resonance. It gives us flexibility. It votes for CT and makes high notes easier. It cancels out consonants so that they don't all get chopped at the mouth. There's so many reasons to have nasal resonance in your final product. But Blaze, we don't want to overdo it. A magician doesn't give away his or her tricks. We're not trying for that's a lot of nasal. That's really a lot. So oh yes, there, with just a small pump of the soft palate. So just don't overdo it, okay? Little spice, little sprinkling. Okay. Anita, Sahu. Hi, Justin. Hi, Anita. Happy to see you. Also happy to see you. What's the difference between a regular falsetto and a subton falsetto? Subton? Oh my. I'm going to have to ask you, Anita, to clarify subton. I don't think I know this term, subton. So to get back to us, we're right here. Get back to us on that subton. I don't think I've ever seen that word before. So my apologies if it's something I should know. Guess we learn something new every day. So clarify subton for us and we'll right back to you. Okay, now we have David Boras E. Vidal. David, great. I find singing some vowels are more difficult than others. Yeah, that's great, yes. It's also hard when there are a couple of vowels together, like a diphthong maybe, A, O. Apart from the shape of the mouth, what are the key differences? What can I do to master all the vowels with the same confidence? Love it. Oh, I love it. Well, David, actually, the key difference between vowels is not the mouth. That is one of the biggest differences. The biggest change from vowel to vowel is the tongue, actually. The tongue is our primary former of vowels, okay? And it is a great goal for you or any singer to master all your vowels, okay? And what I would suggest to you, David, is to take the vowel that's working and springboard it into the other vowels. Okay, so I'm going to give you some examples here. Let's say it's my E vowel that's working well. Love that E vowel. I can sing it all the time. Everything's feeling great. Then what I do is I start with my E. Now I have a E, this sort of deal. Then let's say it's my ah vowel that's not working. And maybe the reason is because the ah is the lowest tongue. E-ah, and I'm just, tongue is falling down. Then I've got two options. I could do this. E-ah, or E-ah, 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 E-ah. I can springboard E-ah, where the E springs into the ah and helps it. Or I can alternate E-ah, 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 E-ah. That way the problematic vowels are getting the help of the vowels that you know are working. We'll also have to make sure that there isn't some sort of cheating going on. For example, some people will spread different vowels, like maybe it's the E. Maybe they're doing, instead of E, we have E. That's going to be a problem. Or even maybe you're spreading it out. That's an issue. You might also be doing a tongue retraction on like a dark vowel. Oh, well, I pull my tongue back. Oh, instead of oh, my tongue's right there. Oh, retracting. Examine your vowels, David. Make sure that the tongue is forward touching the bottom ridge of your bottom gum line. Gentle touch there. And that it's sloped in the back. You don't have to do anything, just leave it alone. Okay? That's your tongue position, your default position. Make sure your jaw is relaxed and make sure you're not spreading out any vowels. If you do that, then you're pretty sure that everything's in place. Then you're going to take your favorite vowel and springboard it into your least favorite vowels until everybody is a match. All right? Awesome. Haley B, Haley B, Haley B. I sing classical, okay? I've been told that after practicing, some fatigue is normal. Is this true? How can I know the difference between vocal fatigue that's normal and strain that is harmful? Haley, great, just great. You know, this teacher that told you that is actually right on. If we're talking about a vocal workout that is between 45 minutes and 2 hours, or a lesson that is very, very intense technique for, let's say, an hour, it is okay to feel a little bit of fatigue, all right? Are you surprised? It is, it's okay. It's like, I love to use athletics analogies. If you go to the gym for 45 minutes to an hour and you work hard, you're working really hard, right? You know, you don't want to be walking out of there limping or injured, of course. You don't want to be just totally exhausted, but you should feel worked, all right? Because you did, you worked the muscles, you're working muscles, all right? So you actually, it's desirable in some ways to feel a slight bit of fatigue. But here's Haley's question: how much is too much? Okay. Here's some rules of thumb. You should never feel hoarse. It should never be raspy. It should never be painful. Okay. That means you've gone too far. It should feel like it was used, worked. All right. I would say that if you had to give it a scale of 1 to 10, you should be feeling about a 2 or maybe a 3. It should never be a 6 or a 7 or an 8 or more. A mild sense of, boy, I've worked, but not too much. The other thing is, if you took an hour off after that, like you did it, you had your lesson, you had your practice, and then you shut up for an hour, you should be able to go again, all right, an hour later. Same thing, same kind of thing is true the next day. You should wake up and feel like, oh, I can sing well today. If you feel like an hour later or the next day you're still fatigued, then you really overdid it, okay? So that's gonna be the difference. Also, Haley, when you're singing, you shouldn't see a lot of crazy stuff in the neck and jaw. Those are just bad muscles that don't help us, all right? So the work that is being done is on the inside, and that's where the good fatigue can come from, as long as it's very mild, all right? Excellent. Now, what are we doing? We got, about subton falsetto. I'm just dying to know about this. I'm not clear on what exactly subton falsetto is as well, but I read an article where it used this term. It said that both falsettos are different. Well, I guess I'd still have to see that article, Anita, because I never heard of this word subton. I'm going to make a guess. It's probably talking about what we call reinforced falsetto, okay? And reinforced falsetto is really actually falsetto, but it due to resonance characteristics, it is reinforced by resonance. It doesn't, in fact, change register, but it changes resonance, okay? So normally I would have like my, ooh, this kind of is my falsetto, okay? What if I reinforce it? I'm gonna do all kinds of things. To reinforce it, I'm going to elevate my larynx, I'm going to increase twang, I'm going to make sure that my vocal cords are nicely approximated, I'm going to use embouchures that promote strong resonances, and all of a sudden, it sounds maybe like I'm doing something more powerful, but that's a powerful resonance. The vocal cords are still woo-hoo in their original state, okay? So that's the difference between falsetto and reinforced falsetto. There's also head voice and reinforced head voice if you are a female, okay? To clarify once again, the register is the same, the resonance is different, yeah? Okay, now we've got Leanne Pisters, another friend of ours from many a chat. And Leanne, dear Justin, dear Leanne, how are you? I'm well, how are you? Here's my question of today. In a few weeks, I have a performance with my band, and I'm wondering if you have any tips about relaxing the facial expression. Yeah, great. Oh, by the way, Good for me to start pronouncing your name right. Great, after I pronounced it wrong. Lean, lean is pronounced like lean. Okay, well now I'll always remember it. Lean, lean pisters. Okay, so now relaxed faces, relaxed faces. Yes, I do. I do have tips on that. I mean, obviously what you're gonna do is do some mirror work, okay? Because that's your easiest way is to have that immediate feedback. You're also going to record yourself video style so you can watch out for whatever facial habits you might encounter. But here's a really good one. This is the one I want you to take, Lee. Ventriloquism. Right? You know what that is? That's like, I'd like you to try your songs like a ventriloquist. And you'll be amazed. You'll be amazed that you can, if I love you, time and again I long to say, all I want you to know. I don't need my mouth, I don't need my face. And that's a great trick. There's this cool interview with Jessie J, the pop singer Jessie J, she's fantastic. She was on some British talk show once, and she talked about how when she was a kid, she would do this, and she'd do like all of her songs, and she'd do all of her songs without moving her face. And that's just some rockin' technique if you can get your mouth out of the equation and still do your songs, okay? So you're gonna do the mirror practice, the recording, lean, but try the ventriloquism because that makes you not able to move at all. And then you really discover, oh, I didn't need all of that stuff like I thought I did. It's better technique. It makes your singing more conversational. And it's just so much more control over your sound when you don't have to move. You always want this stuff to be an acoustical choice, an acoustical additive, not a technical means. I can't do the note unless I do all this crazy stuff. No, you can. You do the note that way, and then later you get to one of those should you need it. See? Excellent. Okay, moving right along to Austin J. Scott. How do I start to develop my mixed voice? Every exercise I've tried, fried voice plosives cause me to pull chest voice. I don't feel like there's any head resonance when I do these exercises. Awesome, Austin. Okay, let's talk about this. I want to be clear. The mixed voice contains chest elements, okay? And many people get confused because they are expecting the mix to be very different from chest voice. It is not. It is a form of chest voice. So you might be doing some of it right, Austin. It doesn't feel like the difference between chest and falsetto. It doesn't feel completely different. It feels like perhaps a light version of chest voice, okay? So it's not a complete difference. But here's some ways you can make sure that you're not truly pulling chest. Are you getting louder when you go higher in these exercises, Austin? You must not. You must keep the volume the same. Are you raising your larynx a lot as you do these exercises? Let's do a standard mix exercise so we can demonstrate this. Okay, so I'm doing my mix exercises and I have a go, 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 go. Now, am I gonna start go, 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 go doing that? Well, that's not gonna help my mix. Do I start doing go, 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 go? That's not gonna help my mix, okay? So no getting louder, no raising the larynx, no spreading out the vowel. Go, 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 go. Can't do that either. If you are keeping the same vowel, Austin, the same volume, and the same larynx, and it still feels like chest voice, that's a mix, all right? But Austin, you wanted more head resonance, add the nasal, add the nasal. Instead of just the go, 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 go kind of exercises, you said voice plosives, that's a voice plosive, or a fry, you said fry. Oh, oh, fine. We're gonna do the nasals. Mo, 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 no, 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 those sorts of things. The nasal guarantees some of the head component as we're bringing the chest component. That's what makes it a mix, all right? Good stuff. Okay. All right, Daniel Collette. Hello, Justin. Hello, Daniel. I am a beginner singer, and I noticed when I copy Elvis, I can sing a lot more easily. Well, thank you very much. Do you know why this might be? I'm not magnificent by any means, but when I do it, it's much better. You know, Daniel, I think it's fantastic. I'm going to say that the reason why is Elvis had some really nice technique. And one of the things that he's known for is the low larynx. All right. Zills. Thank you very much. I'll have my low larynx. So, wise men say. I get a little bit of that depth to the tone. And so many singers have this tendency to raise and squeeze for higher notes. And when you have that cool Elvis voice, everything lowers and relaxes, okay? So I think that's the number one component, Daniel, is that it's giving you permission to keep your larynx down. Sometimes the reason people can't lower their larynx is because it doesn't feel like them. They say, well, that's a silly voice. I can't do that silly voice. It doesn't actually sound that weird, but it sounds weird to the singer. So when you're copying Elvis, you're sort of giving yourself permission to lower and deepen. Part two would just be Elvis has that crooner, legato, smooth kind of tone. And so you might be feeling like even breath and legato phrases. But I think the number one thing is just that larynx position. All right, this was fun. Thank you for that, Daniel. Okay, musicals 81. Oh man, all right. Hey, musicals 81. Thank you for being an amazing vocal coach and sharing your wisdom. Well, it's my joy to do it, and thank you for your encouragement. I have a 7-month-old baby. Hey, congrats. And also twins that are a little bit older. After my pregnancies, I've been diagnosed with abdominal separation. I wonder how much that affects my singing. I find I have real difficulties with support. Yeah, boy, you know, I think it actually can. I think it can. I'm, of course, not a doctor. I work very closely with Dr. Michael Pittman at Columbia University. He's our sort of our doctor here at NYVC. I do know that pregnancy can affect the voice. A lot of times, mostly during pregnancy, when you have a compromised space, due to baby being there, the diaphragm can't move in the same ways. Also, hormonal changes and things like that. But you're talking after the pregnancy with abdominal separation. You know, it's going to be impossible for me to say exactly how and to what degree over a chat like this. But your question is just, can it affect it or does it affect it? And I would have to say, yes, it can, and perhaps it might be. What you might have to do is actually see a doctor about this and see, are there exercises that you can do to restore mobility or restore strength in those areas? And hopefully the answer is yes. And whether yes or no, I think you might find modifications in your singing that can allow you to still do quite athletic things, but maybe in a different way than you used to, okay? So there's gonna be a lot of hope for you, but I think there might be something to that. So maybe talk to your doctor about that and see, are there restorative physical therapy exercises in that case. I'm sorry to hear you're going through that. Okay, and now we have Sammy Hampton, another longtime friend of ours. Good to see you. Hey, Justin, I've heard things about M1 and M2 falsetto. What is that? Can I describe the anatomical differences between the two? Yeah, okay, so Sammy, M1 and M2, mode 1, mode 2. These are other names for chest voice and head voice. M1, chest, M2, head. Chest, M1, thyroarytenoid dominant. Head, M2, cricothyroid dominant, okay? It's almost like every couple of years, somebody comes up with another set of terms to describe the exact same thing. And the unfortunate thing for you, Sammy, and me, and all of us is that there's never been a universal consensus on this. We don't have standard vocal language where it's like, this is what we're calling it now. It's like anybody can just come up with their own terms. But it's not that confusing, really. It's just another way to say it. This voice, that voice, okay? M1, M2. Well, that's it. So what's happening, though? I think you probably know. Chest voice, we're using more of the TA muscle, thyroarytenoid, and we're getting a big, strong vertical phase, a big fat mucosal wave. The vocal cords are doing like this. All right? And when we're in the cricothyroid dominant head voice, M2, they're not doing one of these guys. They're doing one of these guys. All right? And because they're making lighter contact, or sometimes no contact at all, they can move faster and they can sing high notes easier. Now, maybe they're not as awesome, but they're easier, okay? So that's the difference, okay? M1, big fat chest voice. M2, falsetto, head voice. What's mixed? Some sort of purposeful blend of the two, okay? All right, you get it. Oh, we're on to second questions. That's cool. We answered at least one from everybody. We love that. That's what we aim to do. And we're here with Jake again. Hey, Jake, welcome back. And what's the difference between primo passaggio, secondo passaggio, zona di passaggio in the tenor voice? All I know is F sharp is my transition, and is there another passaggio besides the first F sharp bridge? Okay, yes. So these are from the bel canto school, which, like I say, each system has its own terms. The primo passaggio in the tenor voice is kind of right around where you're saying there, Jake. You say F sharp, fine. That's a fine transition. It's anywhere kind of between E flat and F sharp. All right, so that's a transition. That's the first transition. That's where the voice is really saying, hey, can I please go to falsetto? And we're saying, nope, you don't get to do it. Okay, so that's the first one. The second one is right around B flat through, we'll say, C natural. The voice wants to transition again. So there's primo, which is the one that you've experienced, and secondo, which is the one that's a little bit higher, all right? And the zona D is actually the sort of the zone in between, okay? And the tenor voice, we want to be able to really navigate that territory well. I've already on this live chat described some things that are super important when I was talking with, I forget who, about the mix. I think Daniel maybe, but we were saying, okay, don't spread it, don't raise it, don't increase the volume, do use nasal resonance. Those are all things that a tenor can do to move through those transitional zones and not have crazy stuff happening, okay? But that's the answer. Work on those territories, Jake, using those mixed strategies. What's next? Blaze again, Blaze. I'm sounding different when I sing from the right side of my throat as compared to the left side. Why is this happening? You're singing from the right side of your throat? Oh my. I'm not sure I know what that means to sing from a side of a throat, but what I will tell you is from doing way too many voice lessons over the last 15 years. There's a common tendency for singers to do like that or like that. And this is very similar to favoring one arm, all right, or like walking with a little bit of a torque. We do sort of favor one vocal cord and favor one side of the musculature, okay? So I think that's what you're saying, is that you are kind of doing like that, and it's working better for you than when you do like this or like this. I'm gonna challenge you, Blaze, don't keep doing it the favorable way, all right? That's gonna lead to bad vocal habits and, you know, it's not gonna probably damage you, but it's not good technique, okay? You don't wanna be favoring extrinsic muscles at all. So what you're gonna do, Blaze, is let's say this is the way that works better. You're gonna purposefully sing like this, all right? It's gonna be harder, but it's going to be better. It's gonna make you better. It's gonna balance out the musculature. So you sing the reverse way for a while in your practice, you know, just a few minutes. And then once you've felt that, then you go back to neutral. You really have to use the mirror for this, okay? And watch out that when you go back to neutral, you don't start to cheat again. All right, so favor the other muscle for a while, get it strong, and then balance it out, and we're back to normal. Yeah? All right, so we're back to Jan. Justin, I can get my flageolet to be smooth from A5 to D6. But in the low parts, like E5 to G5, it seems that I have to use some modifications. In this E5, it comes out with some sort of distortion. Oh, is there something I recommend? That's tough to know, Jan, what's happening there. I don't like that there's distortion in your falsetto. Okay, that's not a good sign. I would say if there's distortion, please try using a heady vowel and a decompressed consonant like hoo, H-O-O, and go right through that area. And we're gonna do a make sure all of those notes are clean as a whistle. You don't want the stuff to be in there, okay? That's a sign of damage. Don't freak out, but because most vocal damages can be reversed like 99% of the time. But I'm just saying that's a red flag. Your voice should not have distortion in the falsetto. You want your falsetto crisp and clean. So I'm just gonna say use those heady vowels, okay? Oo is one of them, E is another one. You go right through that area and make sure you can get those guys. Heady, distortion, free. Might also use a trill. Things like that can help to smooth that area out. Okay, back to Lise Moberg. I have a huge problem with tension in the digastric and mylohyoid muscles. Nice job. Massage doesn't seem to be enough. What can I do? I'll just suggest this, Lise. Are you massaging while singing? And if so, good. And then are you massaging hard enough? Which you might not be. Don't be afraid of these muscles, okay? They're not, I mean, your vocal cords are inside here. This is not gonna hurt you. If you're feeling like serious, you can, while singing, you know, get in there and fight the good fight, okay? Obviously not to the point of pain. You're not gonna be like super aggressive, but like, you know, tell those muscles like sit down. The physical manipulation with hands is the most potent method for solving that issue. I can't think of a better one than that. So it might just be that you're not being intense enough. However, there are other methods. I would try doing some tongue stretches, okay? Just a few of these kinds of things. And then vocalizing on that. which would be that tends to relieve some of that when the tongue is being stretched out. So do some tongue exercises, and then also do some very nice jaw movement kinds of exercises, like you can do a puffy cheek, one of these guys. Well, it really keeps that flexibility there with the puffy cheeks. I would also finally suggest to you at least some internal tongue movement, like the NG stuff, or any vowel. So jaw and tongue learn to move independently of each other. A lot of times when there's serious digastric and jaw kinds of issues, it's that the jaw and tongue are bundled. So we need to get the jaw and tongue moving a lot and moving independently. So try some of those things, all right? Now, yes, musicals, 81. How does lack of sleep affect singing? A lot. Okay, sorry to break it to you. You gotta have good sleep, okay? I can hear in voices right when they walk in the difference between allergies, cold, vocal damage, lack of sleep, dehydration. Right away I can hear it because there's little subtle differences. Now I've listened to more than 20,000 voice lessons, so it takes a lot of listening before you can pinpoint that. But I know that lack of sleep like the back of my hand. And it's, how can I describe it? It's a sluggishness. It's not so much a distortion, but it's almost a dry quality. Not the same as a dehydrated voice, but a sluggish, dry quality. Nothing works as well as when the voice is rested. No register. There's less flexibility. There's less power. There's just less of everything. Remember that your body heals and restores itself when you sleep. That goes for muscles and that goes for tissues. Your vocal cords are both things, muscles and tissues. So the tissues themselves are not healed, rested, and pliable, so they don't move as well. They're sluggish. And then the muscles, which control the mechanism, are also like cranky and not wanting to stretch and not wanting to strengthen. Sleep affects your voice big time. So, you know, you're not always going to get great sleep. But if you've got a concert coming up, an audition coming up, something big, you're going to have to prioritize your rest big time. And Musicals 81, I know with a 7-month-old baby, or 7-month baby, you know, that's going to be tough sometimes, but hopefully you can program your vocal life around that a little bit to make sure you get proper sleep. Big importance there. What's next? What's next? What's next? Oh, from Diego? Diego Navarro Mesa. Hey, Justin. Hey. I'm curious about the growl. Is twang involved? Oh. Yeah. Yes. Yes, it is. Okay, so growl, one of our many distortions, we're going to have arytenoids. Okay, that's the back attachment. Your vocal cords attach to the arytenoids, and when we have twang, this sort of thing is happening here. Where my epiglottis is being pushed back towards my arytenoids. If I push them all the way back, I get rid of these things. So it becomes very much easier, actually, when I'm in that voice, to then get the arytenoids to vibrate against the epiglottis. Now, there's other growls, though, Diego, that do not use twang and have a truly like open kind of throat. So you don't need twang, but I would say that for many people, twang would really help get the growl going. Just depends on what kind of growl. If it's the epiglottic growl, absolutely. This was great. Haley B, do you have any tips for how I can become better and more accurate at sight singing? Yeah. Yep. So I think you probably mean like when you get a new sheet of music and you have to sing it right away. Several different strategies that we could pursue, Haley. The first and foremost, I gotta tell you, is just to take some piano lessons. Okay, get your piano skills, just some basic piano skills. When people learn piano, they even study for a year or so. It just skyrockets their musicality, okay? So there's that, I would recommend. I would also recommend you try taking some songs that you have never heard, getting the sheet music and listening to the song while looking at the sheet music. So you can start to examine the contour of the lines and the rhythmic values and what that looks like so that you can really start to see the music. Then I would highly recommend learning solfege. If you've not learned that, okay, that's like a do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Making sure that you have solfege, because when you can do solfege, you can start to understand relationships between notes. And knowing the relationships is what can eventually help you to see what is the next jump that I have to do. And then finally, just Haley, music theory in general, if you can study a little bit, and that is music theory. But if you can get a little bit of music theory under your belt, that will certainly help. And then just practice, okay? Try taking a new song every single day and working on it. Simple songs like, for example, in like a hymnal book, like at church, where they have like those books that have like 500 songs, but they're all meant to be sung by simple people, right? You're not going to take like, Rachmaninoff and try to sight read it. Find something like that. They also make sight singing books that have simple little melodies and things like that. You can look to get some of those resources. All right. Now, we're running out of time, but we'll probably take one or two more if we can. David Boras y Vidal. My teacher tells me my soft palate is normally low. I'm very good at dropping it, but not that good at raising it. What can I do? Well, David, I'll just say that I really hope that that's true, because a lot of teachers don't get that right. A lot. I would say greater than 50%. I might even say greater than 75. I might even say greater than 90. Okay, it is a very, very, very common mistake to mishear brightness as a soft palate thing. Soft palate does not have to do with brightness. Okay, so David, if your soft palate is truly too low, your voice will have this quality. This is how your voice should sound, okay? So if your voice sounds like that, if you actually have happening, then perhaps your soft palate is too low. There are people that do have a truly nasal voice. This is nasal. This is not nasal. This is nasal. So if that is really your problem, all you got to do is sing pure vowels, David. So, is your E, is it that, or is it E, or ah, not nasal, nasal, okay? I hope that you can do pure vowels. Oh, ooh, ah, I hope you can do it. if you can't, fingers on nostrils. Make sure that you don't feel anything. Go so this should feel like nothing. When the soft palate is all the way up, you're not going to feel any vibration. That should solve it. If it doesn't solve it, David, we do the pinky trick. Okay, and that's one of these guys. I'm not touching anything. I'm just putting my fingers back in there. And what happens is that the soft palate says, what the heck are pinkies doing here? And it goes and lifts up, okay? That's the most extreme thing you would need to do to lift your soft palate. But please, David, make sure that it's actually the problem. Because how many singers in the history of the voice, how many have been told their soft palate is too low when it's not? And then they go doing all kinds of crazy stuff to fix a problem that was never even a problem at all to begin with. So that's just word to the wise. If you're right about the soft palate, now you know the tricks, okay? Well, I do think we need to wrap up. Oh, but I see such a nice thing from Lise. Thank you for this, Lise. Thank you. She says, thank you so much for the generous amount of time and effort you put into this live chat and voice lessons to the world. It's truly changed my life. Lots of love to you. Lots of love right back to you, Lise, and everybody that joined. And yeah, you know, in all honesty, you know, we're friends here. I do actually pour a lot of time and energy into it. It is not easy, to be honest with you, to do those shows, but I do them as a way to give back. I've been very blessed in my life. I never expected to be doing what I'm doing. I never expected to be a voice teacher at all. And I discovered that it was and is my calling. And I went after it as my calling in life. And everything sort of expanded in a way that I never could have foreseen. And it's just, when you have something like that happen, your reaction is, how do I say thanks? How do I give back? How do I empower other people? And that continues to be my mission. And I'm so glad that it's inspired you, and I intend to keep doing it, and hearing that feedback is very meaningful to me. So thank you for that, Lise, and for all that are joining as members. I really love spending this time with you once per month and answering your questions. Please be sure to join Brendan's live chat. He is a vocal genius. He's the gentleman that does our voice breakdowns show. He knows speaking voice, he knows accents, he knows character voices. He also knows singing. He's a vocal coach too. And so you can ask him any questions. So please join Brendan in a couple weeks, and you'll see me in September. And tonight, quick singing tips episode coming out. So please watch the quick singing tips. And again, thank you all. Really appreciate you so much. And we'll see you next month for another live chat.